Andorra, a tiny country in the heart of the Pyrenees. Millions of tourists come here every year to enjoy its skiing and shopping, but I want to discover the lesser-known side of Andorra, its wildlife. My name is Jaime Rojo, and I'm a photographer and National Geographic explorer. These mountains can be cold and hostile, but for many they are home, the last refuge they have in southern Europe. This is a fragile ecosystem where now, as global warming worsens, life is getting even harder. I'm here to photograph species that live here and their endless search for food, their struggle to survive, the weather as it changes through the seasons. I'm going to work for a year to try to portray the uniqueness of this place. And I'll do it au naturel. Winter in Andorra is long. More than 6 months a year, the country is largely blanketed in white. For some species, this is an ordeal, but others are in their natural element. Winter.
This is the place I was telling you about. You and I'll get out, and then we'll unload the equipment. So we're at the end of the country. On the other side, that's France.
We're at an altitude of 2,400 meters, and it's the middle of winter. This is probably one of the most hostile environments in all Andorra. Very few animals can survive here, and yet this is the favorite habitat of one of the species I've come to look for, the rock ptarmigan.
The ptarmigan is a bird that lives in extremely cold environments. To survive in such places, they have particular adaptations. One is the feathers, which they have not only on their legs, but also on their nose, where they warm the cold air they breathe in.
Finding it won't be easy. This is why I'm going to work with Marc Mossol, a naturalist who has been monitoring these birds for many years.
Look, stop. Look. I think there's some tracks there. Yes, they're rock ptarmigan. You can see the 3 toes and the claw. Wait. There they are. Look, can you see? Those are their droppings. They usually deposit them every quarter of an hour. And as I was saying before, they eat wood. It's lignin, pure wood, which is what they digest here.
This is the spot I was looking at.
Yeah.
They must have gone.
Don't worry. We'll find them somewhere else.
Come on, let's go.
Don't worry. The ptarmigan are up there. Tomorrow we'll go back up, and I'm sure we'll find them. Now, a nice hot dinner, and to bed. The effects of climate change have begun to be felt in this country. The last 3 years, there's been very little snow here. So what happens? This animal evolved to live in very cold temperatures, and now it's like it's wearing an overcoat it can't take off. When the temperature rises, the bird feels completely out of place. So it has to look for somewhere colder.
So it really is what you were telling me. The Pyrenees are like a small refuge.
That's where they came here, because it's where they feel comfortable because of the existing climatic conditions. And if they change, the birds will disappear.
For me, this is one of the most beautiful species I've ever worked with. Today, looking for them, we didn't manage to find them, but we got so close. I loved it.
Don't worry. I promise tomorrow we'll find our target. For sure.
Well, let's see if we do.
Look, some chuffs up there. Can you see them?
Yes, I can. It's so beautiful, like a ballet in the air.
Mark. Oh, yeah.
Chamois are one of the most characteristic animals of the high Andorran mountains. I've come to this mountain for the past few days, and I've located a small group, so I'm going to try to approach them slowly. These are true alpine specialists. Their hooves are the ideal bit of kit. In winter, they open and expand like snowshoes so their feet don't sink into the snow, and they stick into the ice like crampons. I got my photo. It's a good one of the chamois in action in the snow. But I don't think it captures the essence of this animal's relationship with its landscape. I think I'm going to try again at the beginning of the summer when they'll have their young. And I think I'll try something completely different. So although it's now May, the Andorran winter shows no signs of letting up. The animals here must make the most of any opportunity to look for food. These last few weeks before spring are critical to their survival. It's spring in Andorra, and the forest is full of life. Animals, just like humans, enjoy the rise in temperature and the sudden abundance of food after the harsh winter. For many, it's now time to find a mate. Spring. If there is one natural spectacle that defines spring in the forests of Andorra, it's the mating rituals of the capercaillie. Andorra has one of the highest densities of this species in all the Pyrenees. For the next few days, this clearing in the forest is going to be the location of intense fighting between the males and courtship between males and females. The males, also called cocks, have black plumage and are large. The females, or hens on the other hand, are smaller and less obvious as they are perfectly camouflaged. I'm going to spend several days in the hide to see if I can get a photo I've wanted for a long time. Working from a hide is the only way to photograph capercaillies without disturbing them. This very specific technique limits you to a very small physical space where you spend day and night with not much to do but wait, so you have to be patient. One of the things I like most about working from the hide is that sound becomes especially important. It's almost all you have to be able to detect what's happening. A woodpecker, always busy. A roe deer's barking call. Roe deer have been one of my favorite animals since I was little. think a hen is approaching. I can hear her, but I can't see her. This is a really good sign. A hen appearing in the lek almost guarantees that there will be action. There's a male that's been singing in his little territory, and another one approaching from one side. Look, look, they're facing up to each other. It doesn't get any better than this. It's a tremendous duel, fast and furious, with a very different result for each of the two cocks. The loser must retreat into the forest. The winner gets his reward. This corner of the forest isn't big enough for both. Andorra is one of the 6 smallest countries in Europe. It's also one of the 10 most mountainous countries on the planet. This extreme relief has meant that a large part of its territory has remained untouched, surviving in its natural state. Cold climate species that were common in Europe during the last ice age were left isolated in these mountains when the climate changed. And so Andorra became a boreal refuge right on the doorstep of the Mediterranean. In order to look a little deeper into this complex relationship between the landscape, species and conservation, I'm going to meet Natalia Rovira, the Andorra government's advisor on biodiversity. So Natalia, I've spent a few days in a capercaillie lek, sleeping in the hide, and it was one of the best photographic experiences of my life. I loved it. What an animal.
Yes, yes. We're lucky here in Andorra to have a large area of ancient forest which has very good conditions for the capercaillie. And that's why we have quite a few leks, and so they can be observed relatively easily.
I imagine that, as in other parts of the world, changes in the landscape mean that steps must be taken to protect them in the future. What are you planning in terms of conservation for the future?
There is an international conservation trend, 30-30, I don't know if you've heard of it, which proposes a protection objective of 30% of territory by the year 2030. With the spaces that we have now, we are already close to half of that goal. Andorra lives from its mountains, really. It's a wild country, which is a characteristic we must not lose, because it's our identity.
The chamois have had their seasons young, so I'm going to try a totally different technique to photograph them.
So, Jaime, I brought you to the Enclar Hunting Reserve because it's the best place, the perfect habitat here in Andorra to observe chamois.
I am with Ferran Teixidor, Director of the Forest Rangers here in Andorra.
If we look down there a little, the whole area there, the chamois go from down there, up there. Look, 3 or 4 are climbing now.
Yeah, there they are. Right over there.
Right now we have a population of about 340 chamois.
Do they have any natural predators?
No, currently here in Andorra they don't have any natural predators. So we have to regulate the population through controlled hunting to maintain a balance and a healthy population.
What I'm looking for above all with this camera trap technique is a beautiful landscape photo that the animal appears in.
Yes, exactly. I've more or less thought it out. Let's get a little closer to the mountains, where there are some areas where you'll see it's practically guaranteed they'll be around. We just need them to come closer.
Now you'll see it very clearly. This box receives the signal from the infrared sensor.
Yeah.
So the key is, it only shoots when an animal is very close to the camera.
Okay.
If you could predict where it might go, the most likely route a chamois would take, and mark me the height, now when I tell you. These stones here aren't in the shot, so I'll set up the sensor here. Let's test where it's shooting.
This is the height of a chamois, more or less, and it'd take the shot here.
Perfect. Well, Ferran, I think we've done all we can.
Perfect. Now we wait, fingers crossed.
There's still some snow on the peaks, but the first grandallas, or poet's narcissus, the national flower of Andorra, are beginning to appear in the meadows. Summer is closer than you'd think. The long days of summer rejuvenate the landscape. The grass is lush, the meadows are adorned with flowers. The melting ice has given life to the rivers. Many animals have already had their young, but this abundance is short-lived and you have to take advantage of it. Summer. The mature Andorran forests are home to one of the region's most elusive birds. Its ghostly shape flicks between the trees, its beak its only tool. The black woodpecker. This is the largest European woodpecker and needs thick tree trunks for its nest. This already well-grown chick waits patiently for its parents, whose feeding visits are ever more infrequent. These are the last few days of this pair of woodpeckers' intense breeding season. The chick is eating more and more, and its ebullient character is becoming apparent. Feeding is becoming a high-risk activity. It's been a few weeks since I set up the camera traps with Ferran, and now it's time to have a look. Nothing. The rain has fogged the camera up a lot, but we've got nothing. It's been almost a month. I think this will be better at the end of the summer. Then we'll see. 90% of the time you get nothing, and when it happens, you get a nice surprise. Let's go. You simply can't talk about Andorran wildlife and fail to mention the endearing marmot. The marmot is Europe's largest rodent, and until recently had disappeared from the Pyrenees. Reintroduced in the 1950s, they're thriving. Their colonies are formed by burrows where they live in large families, with someone always on guard. So I'm going to get a little closer and see what I can get. Now that it's summer, the grass is more abundant, and since marmots are rodents, they're feeding on it. The pups that were born in April and May are now growing, confident, but you never know when danger might appear. I would like nothing more than to be able to hike through all the hills and valleys of Andorra, but I don't have enough time for that, so a helicopter is a great resource for a photographer in these mountains. I'm going to fly with Samuel Duro, one of the most experienced pilots in Andorra. So, Sam, how long have you been a pilot?
Well, I've been a pilot here in Andorra for 17 years. You can't really do anything in the mountains without a helicopter, moving gear and everything. Andorra is a mountainous country. There aren't many roads, and the chopper's the fastest and safest way. So look, there's the Sorteny Natural Park, just under the Pic de Serer, one of the highest in Andorra. Estanyó, which is the second highest peak in Andorra, is also part of the Sorteny Park. And there's the Pic de Casamanya, which we're just going to pass now. Como Pedrosa is the highest peak in Andorra. It's part of the Como Pedrosa Natural Park, one of 2 natural parks in Andorra.
There are 2 natural parks, right? And then there's the Val del Madriu.
Right, and the Val de Madriu is protected by UNESCO.
I think aerial photography can contribute a lot to this type of project because it gives you a sense of the scale of the landscape. I've been working in Andorra for a year, Sam, and only from the air can you connect all the pieces you've seen on the ground and understand it all better.
We have to find the harmony between the environment and people, and conserve as much as possible. But we have to innovate to be at the cutting edge of everything. Tourism, trade, the economy, which are the things that make a country work.
Well, Sam, thank you very much. I loved the ride. It's helped me understand the landscape and geography of Andorra. And I think I've got some great images that reflect these mountains that are the hallmark of this region. And I hope they remain so for many more years. I really do.
My pleasure. Thank you.
The days are getting shorter, the air cooler. Soon the chamois will look for shelter at lower altitude. The autumn is here and it won't last long. Autumn. The camera trap has been in place all summer. I hope I've got some images because I don't think I've got much more time. So, let's see if we've been lucky this time. People running? Hey, look, excellent. A mother with her calf. The Pic d'Enclair at sunrise with a purple sky. What great detail. What a photo. I'm leaving here very, very happy, really, very happy. It took me more than 4 months to get this photo, but it was worth it. I think it sums up the essence of Andorran wildlife. A country trapped in the mountains, a refuge for animals that are rare in southern Europe that are so well adapted to this terrain and climate that the slightest change in environmental conditions puts their future in jeopardy. It's in our hands to do what we can to continue enjoying this natural wonder.